Hello? Oh, hello? Can you hear me? All right. How's everyone doing today? All right. Is it hot out there yet? I haven't been out for a few hours. Ooh, baby. Wow. I'm always amazed by myself of how quickly I go from complaining about the cold to complaining about the heat. But, it's life, I guess. All right. Let's So before we get into like the real good stuff, um, I have a couple of slides that I like to show. And there's two reasons that I wanted to show them. One is because a few people have asked, but the real reason is because it's totally self-indulgent of me. So there's the little one. Isn't he cute? Good thing he takes after his mother. we went to a family member's wedding last weekend, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. He's 2.5 years old now, and uh, it's been really weird having a young child during the COVID years, because like the wedding, it was out like you go to like Truckee and then you like just keep driving. And so we were out there for over the weekend, and we went to a restaurant for breakfast in the morning. And he's 2.5 years old, but like actually technically it's the second time he had ever been in a restaurant. And he was just like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And he's like running around like crazy. And so it's gonna take a little while for him to like settle into what normal life is, but he sure is cute, isn't he? Yeah, he is a key. If he wasn't so cute though, he would have been gone a long time ago. Um, and then there he is with his. Okay, so if anyone didn't hear, Judy said, "Why does he have red hair?" And I would like to take a very scientific poll here. And this is also really self-indulgent of me, but if you think he has red hair, can you please raise your hand? Not red, but reddish. Okay, raise your hands, please. This is important. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Because my wife and I have this conversation quite a bit. And actually, I can take this off. Because I've always said the same thing. I was like, his hair is kind of red. And she's like, it's not red at all. And occasionally people will ask, where does he get his red hair from? And it's kind of a joke between my wife and I, because she's like, it's not red at all. But I'll have to tell her there's at least 8 residents of the terraces of Los Gatos that think he has red hair too. Wait, say that one more time. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Right there. Oh, that might be some old dye. I don't know. But yeah, it does look a little. And then there he is with his 2 older brothers. So Cole is 16 and driving now. Yeah, he is. Yeah. A little bit of both. He's driving. No, he's the best kid, actually. There's a side of me that's kind of like, shouldn't you be a little more like rebellious and less responsible? You're 16 years old. He's a very, very good kid. And then Finn is 13, and he takes after his dad. He's a little more wild than his older brother. But anyways, that's my family. Yeah, he is. He's big, and people always say he looks older than he's 2.5 because he's so tall, which is weird because neither of us are really tall. And come to think of it, neither of us really have red hair. Wait a second. Anyways, so that's us. Yeah, I guess so. All right, well, that's it, everybody. Thanks for coming. I guess here, I'll turn the lights back on real quickly. All right. All right, well, thanks everyone for being here. Thanks to those that are joining us from home. It's always good to be together. I am going to make a really conscious effort to make sure that those who questions and comments that are made, that we make sure that the people that are listening in at home can hear as well. So I've got a couple microphones that we can pass around to help with that, or I'll try to remember to repeat what's being asked or stated. I got a bunch of things on my list, but wanted to just start off by opening it up to any questions or any specific topics that you all would like to talk about. It should be on 998. Okay. Yeah, it should be. I think it got all set up. Anyone want to kick us off with any questions or topics you'd like to discuss? Microphone is, yo. You're welcome.
I just wanted to thank you for the chart of the succession, the list of team members and staff and who reports to who. That was really helpful because it takes a lot of people to run this place and you don't always know who to contact for what. And so that was very helpful.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you for that comment. And for those of you who may not be aware of what Shell is referring to, oh, thank you. We have updated our organizational chart that shows all of our team members and all of our leadership team members, and then the rest of our positions within each department and who reports to who. So I printed off a few copies. If anyone would like to grab one before you leave, we've got little ones that are really hard to read. And we have bigger ones that are easier to read, but kind of big and bulky. So I've only printed off, I don't know, 10 or 12 of each one. But if anyone needs a copy and there's not enough, let me know. We also published it to, yeah, we put it on a news article on TLG Connect. And so it's on there. And then in the next few days, it'll be added to the information cube within TLG Connect as well. Yes.
I still wish more maintenance people's names were on the Kubago. There's a lot of them, a lot of gentlemen that walk around without name tags. I'd like to call them by name. And sometimes I'm guessing, and if I feel I'm guessing, then I won't say anything because I'm afraid I'm going to get it wrong. Wazid, I know for sure, and he's on Kubago. But I'm sorry? I would assume so.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good feedback. We on the team member directory on TLG Connect, initially it had every single team member listed, and we found that to be a little excessive and maybe not necessary because there aren't ways to contact most of the team members directly. So in the directory, we just have the people listed who have direct contact information because those are the ones that were most useful, and then it made it easier to find them. So I'm not sure if we would add them to the directory, but we can definitely look into possibly doing that. But as Linda said, we got to make sure they've got their name tags on. So we'll follow up and see if we need to possibly order them new name tags. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Speaking of maintenance, when Vincent's away, the one person who really knows what's going on is Wazid. And Wazid does not have a number on Cubicle. And we really ought to put one there. Not because we'll regularly be contacting him, but if Vincent isn't around, Wazid knows everything that goes on.
Good feedback. And I think, Sandy, do you know if he should have a direct number. So yeah, we should be able to put that up there.
The other question I had about the org chart
Yeah.
is Sherry is the manager of the dining room and all the staff there. Yeah, I can't. Sherry is the manager of the dining room.
Correct.
And all the staff there. And I look at the nutritionist and she's the she's the director or something of the dining room. Now, what does that mean? She has nothing to do with the dining room but we're aware of, unless it's the upstairs dining room. Dining services manager. What is she managing? Does she have any staff? I don't see any.
Hold on. So, okay, I see what you're saying. So Robin she is the dietitian, but she also, well, in that role, she directly supervises the dining services team members that serve serve the food and the for the higher levels of living. Okay, yeah. So yeah, she oversees the sort of dining operations for the health center and assisted living. So okay, thank you. We'll see if we can make sort of clarify that.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
And as you know, we've had a lot of work done to our apartment.
Yes.
And when we have ordered in the past to have maintenance come, they have come and done the job. But you look on the website where we have ordered the job, and then it says it's complete, but we don't know what the heck it is that's been completed. Am I making sense?
I'm sure you're making perfect sense. So you put in a work order. Uh-huh.
Yes,
And then
then it was completed,
It
but we
was
don't
completed.
know what was completed. Yeah, I think we had like 2 orders the same
so
time.
it'll just show up as completed, but
Completed.
it won't necessarily say which
Yeah, Yeah,
work
that's all.
order, which request it was.
just maybe a
Ah.
little more clarification on that.
I have the same experience. After 2 months, nothing has happened. Suddenly it's complete. And then you put in a new order for the same thing. And sometimes you go through some iteration, but it finally fixed.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. And we will, I can see how that could be confusing. Okay. Thanks. Linda.
Why don't you talk to us and tell us when we're going to have a real dining services program again?
So, that's a great question. And I can tell you, I'll tell you what I know. And I'll tell you what I can tell you. We have been interviewing multiple dining services director candidates. We met with another candidate yesterday afternoon. And that candidate we met with yesterday afternoon, we decided not to move forward with. There's a candidate that we met with last week who is scheduled to come back to the community, I believe, tomorrow morning to meet with a few members of the dining committee, resident members of the dining committee, to see how see what feedback they have. That is where we're at with our dining services director search. I mean, the reality is we need to fill those key positions in order to really elevate our dining program to where yeah. 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 Oh, yep. Linda, you want to say that one more time? Linda said everything in the dining services program is fantastic. and there are no problems whatsoever. Thank you, Linda. Okay, moving on. No, the reality is, yes, our dining program is struggling heavily at the moment. But I kind of gave an update on the dining and services director search. We are also on the hunt for our next executive chef. We've met with a few different candidates. We had a candidate who interviewed actually really well. And we had that candidate come back in yesterday for a hands-on chef test. And it didn't go as well as we would have hoped it would have gone. So I don't know if we're going to be moving forward with that candidate yet. So the search continues for both of those critical positions.
I've been wondering about the iPads in the dining room. Are they being replaced soon, or what is the story?
Good question. The tablets in the dining room that have been inconsistent at best. We have placed an order to replace all of those tablets with a much higher quality tablet. And not only is the tablet higher quality, but on the back end, what the new tablets, let's see, without getting too in the weeds, all of our dining services, that whole system goes through a system called Full Count. And they have the new tablets that we're getting. They're a higher quality tablet. They'll have a better connection, and also the Full Count technical support team will be able to access those tablets directly remotely, which will give us an additional layer of 24-hour support for those tablets. So the order was placed, I think, yesterday or a couple of days ago, and I think they're anticipated to arrive. I think they said it was like a 5 to 8 day turnaround time. So we're hoping to get those in next week. And once they arrive, they should all be programmed and ready to go. It'd just be a matter of making sure they're charged, and then they can be put into use immediately.
I realize that Ruth and I are probably the only ones here from the lodge. But does any of this improvement, when it comes, overlap into the dining area in the lodge?
Yes, it does. I think the lack of a permanent director of dining services and executive chef certainly impacts our ability to service the higher levels of living in the way that we should be. And so, yes, once we fill those positions, it will certainly have a positive impact on our assisted living and health center dining operations as well. Linda?
Not to be too cranky, but Human Good pays Morrison a lot of money. Morrison has not been performing and has not provided the services that not only the terraces, but other communities need. And we should all hear the stories about poor Morrison. They can't get candidates. They can't get that tough. We're paying them a lot of money. And I'd like to know what it is that we're withholding from them because they're not providing their end of the deal.
That is a great comment and a great
No,
question.
And I would like an answer to it.
Yeah, and I don't know.
It's our money.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I will.
Are there any other places we could check into for food services?
Um,
Any other company like Morrison's?
so, I mean, there are and we, was it 5 years ago? We made the change from Sodexo, which is a similar operation, to Morrison. So there are a few other options out there. Making the changes, it would be created a whole new set of challenges, to be perfectly honest. But then there's also the option of not contracting it out to anyone and running the dining department internally and not contracting it out, which I personally, I don't know if that would be a good option as well. So, I mean, there are other options available. We haven't sort of gone down the path too far, at least, of exploring any of those other options, but it may be something we want to consider.
I would worry about us taking it on ourselves.
Yeah, me too.
Are we stuck with Morrison because that's what Human Good wanted? It seems like almost all of Human Good now has gone to Morrison. And I realize pricing is better that way. However, they're not servicing us. So could TLG and maybe Los Altos look into a joint other company?
I don't know, but it's a good question that I will raise up the flagpole.
Maybe Sherry could stay with the newer company also.
She is the one person in that leadership group who has stepped up way over and above what we could expect of her. And she's there smiling every day. Maybe it's gritted through her gritted teeth. I don't know. But she comes in, she does it every day. She does everything.
Yeah.
And yes, Morrison says, oh, yes, we're so grateful for her. But they can't possibly be as grateful for her as we are.
Yeah.
So if we can do something for her to show how much we appreciate it, that would be a good thing.
I completely agree. Oh yeah, there we go.
I'll share it with you. I got what I
I
always
think that one works now. Might want to double check to make sure.
I need to say something to Morrison's defense. I know Jerry told me quite often, he took his car and drove away to some restaurant place and bought the chicken or bought the veggies they were supposed to have and hadn't got. And it's impossible for Sherry to do it because she has to be here. But I think it might be worth to wait until we get the new director and see if he can get it running smoothly.
Thank you for that comment. What else would you like to talk about? I can talk about food all day. It's fine.
getting off the dining room. when you post a sign saying welcome new team member, would you say where they're going to be working so that we can
Oh, yeah.
look for them and congratulate them or welcome them to the community?
Yeah. I know that's been brought up before. And you're referring to on, oh, those signs. Yeah, at the front desk, those signs that they put up are typically for people that are just coming in for an interview, and not for the new team members. The new team members, yeah, we put them up on the digital signs. But the signs but we're also sort of looking into doing similar signs, physical signs for new team members. So note taken. We'll make sure that we clarify that on those signs.
Maybe it's Bradley's turn.
All right. Well, I'll dive into my list, and then I'm sure that will spark some more questions or discussion. We have just put up on TLG Connect, and it will be distributed, I think, with the weekly updates tomorrow. A memo that introduces our new assisted living manager, who will be joining the team at the end of the month, June 27th. So we have a great candidate. Her name is Dalette. It's D-A-L-E-H-T, Dalette Miranda. And she will be joining the team at, like I said, as our assisted living manager. She has been working in the senior living industry for about 7 or 8 years now. In the last 5 years in leadership positions. Most recently, she's been the memory care director at another community in the area. And before that, she was working at the Los Gatos Meadows, which many of you are familiar with, that had to close a few years back while they work on some construction remodels or rebuild. So there's a memo on TLG Connect, like I said, and the memo will be distributed tomorrow. And her first day of work is scheduled to be June 27th. So we're very, very excited for her to join the team. We've also extended an offer that has been accepted to an assisted living activities coordinator. And her name is Anahi, N-A-N-A-H-I, pronounced Anahi. And she has been in for a couple of interviews and actually spent some time with some of our residents in assisted living. And we're very looking forward to her start. I didn't write down her start date, but I think it's actually before Dalette starts. I think she's scheduled to start in the next week and a half or so.
What experience does she have?
She comes from a smaller community nearby, doing activities, and the community that she was at was primarily a memory support community. And that is where her most relevant and most recent experience has been. And she's got a lot of really positive energy, and I think she'll bring a lot of creativity and fun to the activities program in assisted living. And we're continuing the search for a second activities coordinator as well. So Our goal is to have 2 people in that role so that we can make sure that we have a 7-day, consistent 7-day activities program in assisted living. So we have a few fairly strong candidates for that second position, but we haven't extended any offers yet.
Bradley, was there another candidate that applied for the manager position?
Yeah, we
only
had
the
quite a
one?
few. We had, I don't know how many. I think we received maybe 9. No, more than, I don't know. We received quite a few. And we interviewed a good portion of them. And we all felt Dalet is the right and the best person for that role. So good things happening in the coming weeks with those positions. Let's see. There's a few sort of upcoming events and reminders that I wanted to just remind everybody of. There's a panel discussion called Conversations We Need to Have. Residents will be discussing their thoughts about end-of-life issues. Such an important topic, and that is actually taking place tomorrow afternoon. I didn't write down the time. 1:30, and it'll be here in the GRA. So we are grateful for the resident panelists that will be involved in that discussion of a topic that can be challenging to talk about, but as the title says, they're discussions that need to take place. So all are invited to that tomorrow here in the GRA at 1:30. All right, 1:30. Yes. That's when that news item was published. It was published 1 day ago. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
So along those lines, I have a question about announcements on Cubigo
Yes.
where all of a sudden I get a notification and it says community chat end time has been changed to 2:30.
Yeah,
know
it's a
what that
problem.
means.
Yeah, it's bonkers, and those shouldn't go out. And we're actively working with the Cubigo team to fix that issue. Yeah, sometimes when there's some sort of a modification to the information in the system, it sends out those alerts, which it shouldn't. And we know it causes confusion, so we're trying to get that fixed. A couple of other upcoming events, another panel discussion, which will take place on June 27th, entitled Widening Our Welcome. And it's a panel discussion about inclusion of the LGBTQ community. So really looking forward to that panel discussion as well. That again will take place on June 27th here in the GRA, and it is at 1:30 as well, I believe. Panelists for that discussion are Cindy, our spiritual care director, Linda Price, our sales director, and Flo Creighton, our resident council president, and an outside invited guest whose name slips me right now. Anyways, he's the program coordinator for a program called the Rainbow Collective from the Avenidas, which is an organization that serves as a resource for older adults throughout Santa Clara County. So really looking forward to that on June 27th. And on June 23rd, a couple of days before that, is the annual summer wine tasting event brought to us by the Community Advisory Board. So that will be a great event. And then just a few days before that, we're working backwards chronologically. We're having a luau. Should be a lot of fun on June 17th. It'll be a luau lunch with evening dessert and entertainment out on the fountain court from 5:30 to 7:30, I think, out on the fountain court. So that should be a fun day, and hope that everyone enjoys it.
Does that mean there won't be dinner that day?
There will be dinner that day. Yeah. And on the subject of dinner, starting July 3rd, thank you, the main dining room will reopen for dinner as well. So we
On
appreciate on Sundays. Sorry, thank you, on Sundays, as well as other days. So it'll remain open for dinner. So we appreciate everyone's feedback. We sort of did an interim trial of having the dining room closed for dinner on Sundays. And the response was very politely, but very clearly, the dining room needs to be open for dinner on the Sundays. So that will restart in a couple of weeks.
As long as you're mentioning events taking place in June, on June 28th, there'll be another panel discussion
Lots of panel discussions. It's good.
having to do with mental health and
Right.
the attempts to end homelessness.
Yes, you're right. On June 28th, also here in the GRA, another panel discussion from homelessness to hope. And that will be a really great discussion on mental health. So thank you for that reminder as well.
The ads will go out after some of these other immediate things.
Okay, great. A lot going on this month. It's good. Also going on this month, just a reminder, window washing. So that starts up next week on the 15th. And there was a schedule posted on TLG Connect and distributed a couple of weeks ago in the weekly updates. And I don't think there have been any changes to that schedule as planned. So you can refer to that to find out which building or which day you should plan on your windows being washed over the course of the next few weeks. And let's see, campus master plan. So we are continuing to move forward with our planning for the Galleria remodel. We have made quite a bit of progress in the planning, but there is quite a bit more to go. So what we've really been focused on up until this point, and we'll be focused on probably for a few more weeks, is really the space planning of the Galleria. And so really none of what most would consider the fun stuff yet. It's mostly, if we're moving walls, where are we moving walls to? Where do we put the concierge desk? How do we make modifications to the mail room? That type of thing. Once we get all of that finalized, then we'll start working on the actual construction drawings. And as we do that, we will then at some point after that start having more conversations with the rest of the community involving the decor committee and getting feedback from all of the residents on more of the decor side of things, the finishes, colors, furniture, that type of thing. So we've got a ways to go until we get to that point, but we are making good progress on the sort of overall big picture space planning process. So that is coming along, and we will certainly make sure to involve all of the residents and give residents the opportunity to give us feedback before we make those final decisions about the things that will really impact the look and feel of the Galleria. If you haven't checked out the art wall, it's great. I was looking at it earlier this morning. Bobby Fredrickson, I think she is all of the artwork hers. I don't know if anyone here knows. Yeah, really, really talented artist. So if you haven't had a chance to take a look at that,
June, July, and August.
okay, great. So it'll be up for a while, and we are grateful for Ms. Fredrickson for allowing us to display her beautiful art.
Yeah, for the gallery remodel, when are we going to see plans or layouts or what's and about when will that happen?
I would anticipate it will probably be sometime late July, early August. We'll have certainly not finalized plans, but we'll have some rough plans that we'd be able to share.
So we have a contractor, we have a contractual relationship with them to do it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a design partner that we're working with, and we have an architect partner that we're working with as well. So
will this require City of Los Gatos approval of the layouts and all of that things that's got to go through,
oh yeah,
jump through hoops?
yeah. Yes, it will require permits from the town of Los Gatos. It won't require any plans to go through OSHPD, through the state of California, which is what we did have to do because in the main dining room, because everything from the fire doors off of the Galleria and that direction technically falls under the same licensure as the health center. And so there's a statewide permitting process, which is a lot more complicated. So fortunately, we're not going to have to go through that, which will make it a little more bearable than what we had to do before.
I've got a loud voice. I figure everybody can hear me. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Zoom. The area where we used to get in line when we served ourselves, that whole area is, are there any plans for that? Is there any hope at all that we'll ever, I don't know whether I say hope, because I like being served. And the food is hot, which I don't think it was when we went through the line, is hot. And, but I just wonder, it's almost wasted space.
Yeah, we definitely will be utilizing that space again. But we basically what we want to do is we want to wait till we have our dining director and executive chef on board so that we can work with them to figure out exactly what's the best way to utilize that space. We definitely don't want to go back to just sort of having everything go through that line. But we do, I mean, we built it with the intention, obviously, of utilizing it in a more sort of limited scale than we did before. But exactly what that looks like operationally, we're going to wait till we have the dining director at least on board. That's a good one. I don't want to miss a call from Roxanne. Hi, Roxanne. Yes.
What is the status of Pine Park Health?
So Pine Park Health, most of you probably know already, but if anyone is not aware, Pine Park Health is a partner that an organization, a company that we partnered with a few months ago that provides primary care services to residents here at the Terraces of Los Gatos. So when residents have a doctor's appointment, essentially the provider will come to them as opposed to having to go out for an appointment. They're also available for urgent care needs, and also they have a close relationship with our wellness team, and they meet with us on a regular basis to provide updates, and we can provide them with updates of our residents' needs. So they are active and serving residents. There's currently somewhere between 25 and 30 residents here at the Terraces that are receiving services from Pine Park Health. They have, like everybody, they've had some changes within their team over the past few months. And we met with the CEO and a couple of other players on their team last week. And we are planning we had asked them to to come and do another sort of informational session to the community about their services and about, who the people are on their team and what each of their roles are. I don't have the date of that on hand. Sandy, do you know? June 21st. So we'll make sure that gets communicated out to everybody. But June 21st here in the GRA at, do you know what time? Okay, 1:30, I believe. So you can come Tuesday, June 21st, here in the GRA, and the Pine Park team will be here to answer any and all questions that residents may have.
Is there someone on campus at this time? There was originally.
There are people that are on campus, but they're scheduled, to be honest, it's a little, I don't know if there's a set schedule. They're working towards having somebody consistently here at the community on site. But there have been some changes on their end. And so I don't think there's somebody here every day. But we can certainly reach out to them, and the residents can certainly reach out by telephone 24 hours a day to get assistance if needed.
Bradley, is there somebody, did they have an office? If you make contact, where do they go? Where are they?
So they are utilizing an office that's upstairs that is sort of halfway down this hallway between Charmaine's office and the conference room. And so it's like right there, right there. The question is, how often are they here? I think they're here, they're scheduled for one day, once a week, and then they're sort of come on site as needed for appointments with residents. So their goal, as well as our goal, is to have somebody here on site 5 days a week. And I think they're working towards that, but we're not there yet, unfortunately.
Well, if they're not here, how do they take care of urgent care?
So they have a network of providers that they work with here in the area. And there's a couple of different things that they can do depending on what the need is. There's the nurse practitioner that is sort of serves a few different communities in the area and can come on site when the need arises. They also have what's the what they call care navigators, which are medical assistants that can come on site quicker typically and help facilitate a telehealth visit, a virtual health visit. So that's sometimes a quicker way if sort of clinically it's appropriate to do so. They'll dispatch somebody out to the community and they'll bring their computer or tablets or whatever and help sort of facilitate the virtual visit with the provider.
We fortunately have not needed them in an emergency, but we have signed up with them. And I do know of another couple though, it was an emergency and the nurse practitioner came out right away for that person. So you just call a phone number that goes directly to somebody and there's supposed to always be someone who answers the phone. One time I called and I got an answering machine. I was not happy about it. And the next time I talked with them, I let them know I want a live voice at the other end. And so that hasn't happened again. But so far, we're satisfied with their performance.
Oh, good. Thank you for that comment. What else would you like to discuss? Phyllis.
We have friends, one couple, who have signed up with Pine Park, and they're very happy with them. They've come out right away when they've been called, and they brought an EKG machine and, just whatever they needed. So they're very, very happy.
Great. Thank you for letting me know. Appreciate that. And it's good to hear the positive feedback. I know that we all, hope and are working towards having them here on site more consistently. But I know they've been working very hard to make sure that they're available to have people that can be dispatched out to the community at a moment's notice. And really, it's also as with so many things, it's kind of a volume game, if you will. The more residents that we have signed up, the more it sort of gives us leverage to get them to have more people here. And actually, it's a program that we partnered with them as well as the Terraces at Los Altos. And we always I'm a fairly competitive person, and there's quite a few more residents from the Terraces at Los Gatos that have enrolled with Pine Park than at the Terraces at Los Altos. That is good in the sense that it just gives us a little more leverage and a little more weight, I guess, when we're yes. Yeah.
Speaking of things related to health,
Yes.
one thing that we don't have and have never had here is a senior oriented social worker. Hopefully somebody who has some mental health background also. They're expensive.
Mhm.
But I'm wondering if there's any way we could share somebody like that with Los Altos. They're a lot smaller, so we could, negotiate how many days a week or whatever they were available. But I think it's something we really do need here. And it's a big gap in what we provide residents.
Yeah, I agree. It is something that could potentially be a huge benefit for our community to have a social worker here at the community. And actually, we have had some conversations with the terraces at Los Altos about some kind of a potentially a partnership. The challenge, one of the many challenges is there's just not a lot of them out there right now. We all know there's a shortage of nurses. There is probably just as significant, if not more significant now, shortage of social workers. Especially right now, there is, because of everything related to COVID-19, there's fewer social workers, and there's a much greater demand for social workers in many different environments, school districts, hospitals, other healthcare providers, and other senior living providers. So it is something that we're sort of exploring at the moment, figuring out if that makes sense and how to do it. Because yeah, I agree, it would add a lot of value. There's a lot of barriers, but hopefully we can find a way to work through them. It is 2:29 and 45 seconds. Anything else in the last 7 seconds before we close? All right. Well, thank you all for joining. Appreciate it. Thank you for all of your feedback and all of your questions. I got a list of things to follow up with on my end. And again, if anyone would like a copy of the updated organizational chart, they're right up here. You're welcome. How's Roxanne doing?